Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to be talking to you guys about, about overcoming hurdles. How many of you guys have stuff in your lives that you feel like has set you back, has made you want to stop and not keep going, has made you not want to get out of bed in the morning, that kind of stuff? Okay. So we all kind of have that kind of stuff in our lives. How many of you guys have heard the saying that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger? Okay. How many of you guys believe that? Really? I think that's a downright lie. I think that's a lie. You know why? Because the things that you go through, this mechanical thing back here, I can hear it moving. It's like a robot. Okay, so that saying I think is a lie because, you know what, you go through stuff in your life and sometimes you can let that stuff dictate your whole entire life after that point. You can let the things that you've been through, or the place that you come from, or the home that you come from, tell you where to go. And I think that it needs to be the opposite. I think that the things that we come from and the families that we come from, that kind of stuff, or the situations that we find ourselves in, that kind of stuff, we need to be strong people going through that stuff. Because stuff like that can wreck who you are. It can take your strength. It can make you incapable of getting out of bed in the morning. I'm going to tell you about one situation of mine in particular that I could have let take over my life. And about 3.5 years ago, I was in Vancouver, BC, and it was gorgeous. It was October 24th, beautiful day outside. Okay, there was the sun out. It had been raining for 2 weeks, and this was the first sunny day in 2 weeks, and I was sitting on this bench looking out onto the ocean. And there's a mountain in the distance. It was beautiful. And then I look up and I see my boyfriend walking towards me. And I was like, holy crap, what are you doing here? Because he is from Manitoba. And so he, that morning, got on an airplane to surprise me. Now I thought he was just there to surprise me just because I hadn't seen him for a month and a half. But as soon as I walked up to him, he got down on one knee and he asked me to be his wife. And I sat there looking at him, wondering, do I actually deserve this? Because let me tell you, he was the first guy I ever dated who actually treated me with respect, who knew who I was, the good, the bad, the ugly, and still loved me. First guy I ever dated who actually respected me. And I wondered to myself, do I actually deserve this? Because 2 years before that, I was asking myself a very different question. I was looking in the mirror, and I had tears streaming down my face. And these words came out of my mouth literally. Who is going to want you now? You are damaged goods. That afternoon I had gone to the doctor's. 5 weeks before this point, I had gone into that same doctor's office and got tested for STDs and STIs. And so they tell you when you leave, no call's a good call. Good. I'll just wait then in my room and never leave it until you call me. Holy crap. So literally it took 5 weeks, and finally I got a phone call and I'm shaking in my boots. And I walk into the doctor's office and I sit down on that crinkly paper. And the doctor walks in, sits down on his wheelie stool, wheels over to me, opens up a folder. Doesn't even look at me, doesn't even say hi, how are you, nothing. Opens the folder and says, "Hello, Meagan, I see here you've been diagnosed with herpes simplex 2. I was like, pardon? Yes, your results, they came back positive for herpes simplex 2. And I just started to cry right there in the office. And I was like, no, you don't understand. This can't happen to me. This is not, no. Okay, here I am. I'm a good girl. I go to church. I love Jesus. This can't happen to me. I can't be a walking contradiction. So I'm crying, and the doctor finally looks at me, and he's like, oh, you know what, sweetie, don't worry, it's okay. 1 out of every 5 Canadians has it, so you're not alone. Thanks. That feels good. As if knowing for every 5 people I meet, there's one with herpes, whether they know it or not. That's supposed to make me feel better. Not a chance. Anyways, I got in my car and I drove home in a cloud of tears, and I went to my room and I slammed the door and I went in front of the mirror and I looked at myself right in the eye and I said, who is going to want you now? You're disgusting.
You're disgusting. Okay.
Seriously though, like that's how I felt. I felt so dirty, I felt tainted. I felt like no one in their right mind is going to want to be with someone like me now. Doesn't matter how nice I am, doesn't matter how hot I am, doesn't matter how much weight I lose or what I look like, how much makeup I have on. No one will want me now. And in that moment, that was a very, very dark time in my life, and there were other things that were really not cool at that point. One of them was just the fact that I had no self-esteem whatsoever. I know that you guys probably, some of you in this room, probably come from really, really horrible families. And some families that maybe you feel like you can't go home to and stuff. And let me tell you, I grew up with a mom who was so unstable, you never knew if she was going to hug you or hit you. And when I was in grade 3, my mom was carted off to a mental institute. And I had a Christmas without my mother, and that was the best Christmas I can remember having when I was a kid, is the one without my mom. And I love my mom. I do. But she made my childhood really, really hard. And I grew up in a poor family. I grew up in a family where, you ask for something and your mom's like, okay, I'll get you a sewing kit for Christmas. Thanks, Ma. Wanted My Little Pony, but a sewing kit it is. It's that kind of thing that I came from, and I came from a background where I was just always wanting people's approval. Like, can I be good enough to hang out with? Am I good enough to talk to? And that's how I got myself into this position that I was in when I was dating this guy who gave me herpes. We used to work together, and he would tell me things. He'd say, Meagan, I really want my life back. I'm addicted to cocaine. I can't get through a day without a drink, and I just really want to live a normal life. And I just wanted him to accept me. I wanted to help him. I thought maybe that I could. And so we started hanging out more and more, and eventually we started dating, and then we started sleeping together. And I thought to myself, this isn't really what I want. I don't love this guy. I don't want to be with a guy who chooses drugs over me every time. I don't want to be with someone like that. And so I ended it. And then 3 months later, I was sitting in that doctor's office. I had a couple decisions to make. I could decide to be the girl with herpes. I could decide to be the girl who just never leaves her house again, who lets this thing ruin her self-esteem, ruin everything about my life. I could have let it take over. I could feel so sorry for myself all the time. But what kind of life is that? I want to wake up in the morning. And so I had a couple really hard things I had to do. First, I had to forgive the guy that gave this to me. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, but what was even harder than that was forgiving myself for actually making the decision to sleep with him. Because the truth is that I had responsibility in that decision. Both of us made the decision to have sex. That was our decision. And now I had to live with the consequences. And the truth is that we all make choices in our lives. All of us. Every situation that we find ourselves in, you have a choice. You can decide to be someone who just lays down and takes it and just is like, oh, woe is me, this is just my life, this is where I come from, this is my parents, this is my boyfriend, I just have to deal with it. Or you can be the person who is like, no, I am worth being around. I am worth listening to, and I am worth living a life that I like. I'm worth living a life in which I can overcome the things that I think are limiting me. And so this whole night, I guess, the point of tonight was about overcoming hurdles. And so what I'm trying to say to you guys is not that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but every single situation you find yourself in, it's not about whether it kills you or leaves you alive. It's whether or not you decide to make the best out of it. To make the best out of a really horrible situation. I think of a guy, I know I'm really white, and I don't know anything about hip-hop, really, not really, but you guys know the story of Marshall Mathers, right? You know that 8 Mile, that movie, that is about his life. Right? He grew up in a trailer park with a drug addict mom, and now he is like a multi-millionaire, has sold how many records, has made such a huge success of his life. And he didn't do that by saying to himself, oh man, I live in a trailer park, I suck. No, he decided he was going to do something. He found something that he loved. And he started to do it. And that's exactly what I did. I found something that I loved. I love speaking. I love this microphone. We are friends, this microphone and me. Seriously, I love speaking. And not that I love going around Canada and telling people, hey guys, I have herpes. Awesome. I don't love doing that, but you know what I love? I love letting people know that they are so much more than their circumstances. That your circumstances do not define you, but it's who you are through the consequences of your decisions that makes you or breaks you. So I have a question to ask you now. How many of you guys really, really want to see yourselves as successful, as fun, as like really radical people? Like awesome. Who wants to be a beatboxer, like professionally? No one? Who wants to be a dancer professionally? Yeah, I'll give you Disney's number. Who wants to be a singer? Who wants to be a writer? Who wants to be anything? All you have to do, honestly, is decide that's what you're going to do. And nothing in your life can hold you back from that. There's no hurdle that you can't overcome if you decide that that's what you want, then you can get it. And I decided not to let herpes dictate my whole entire life. And now I have an awesome husband who loves me probably more than I love myself, to be honest. I went traveling across Canada. I got to speak to thousands and thousands of kids and tell them that their lives are so incredibly valuable. That it doesn't matter what you've been through, it doesn't matter what's been said to you, it doesn't matter what's been done to you. You are valuable. And the best way of realizing your value is by showing it to all the people around you. And that's why I love to speak. And that's why I love that you listened. And that's why I love you. Thanks for listening, guys. My name's Meagan. Thank you. If you want to talk after, I'm going to be sitting right over there. And I'm really looking forward to hearing people beatbox. Do you want to hear my beatboxing skills? Yeah! Are you ready? My husband taught me, okay? Ready? That's all I got, though. Okay.
Wow, we really thank you for sharing. For sharing. Not only sharing, but I'm going to tell you something. To stand on the stage like this and to be transparent. Anybody know what transparent means? Transparent, that means see-through. You see everything. There's absolutely nothing hid. That's incredible. And we really like to thank you for your transparency, because I believe that someone tonight was spoken to. Someone was listening. And I was looking around, there's quite a few people who were listening. But I mean, someone I believe was touched. So give a hand again, once again, for Meagan. Absolute. I would like to have her back again one day. I like you. That was hot.